Welcome to another episode of the CPG Guys podcast. Our co-hosts, Sri Rajagopalan and Peter V.S. Bond, explore how brands and retailers engage with consumers online, in-store, and everywhere in between. And now, here are Sri and Peter.
Welcome again to the CPG Guys podcast. It's Sri and PVSP, and we recorded this episode from high atop the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino in Las Vegas. We were both there to attend the 2022 Grocery Shop Conference. Peter was as excited as I am to be together in Las Vegas at the premier digital grocery event for CPG and retail. About 4,000 of our closest industry friends joined us in Las Vegas, including our Fresh Pro co-hosts, Andrea Lay, Melissa Burdig, Brian Gildenberg, the host of the Gildenberg Omni Comment, and even Risa Crandall and Jennifer Silverberg from the CPG Scoop podcast. Man, it was a long 3 days. But before we get to our guests, let me remind our audience that all of our content can easily be found by visiting cpgguys.com. We have a brand new website with all sorts of rich content and episodes organized into themes like retail, media, and loyalty, so do check it out on the browser. If you aren't already following us on LinkedIn, please do so, because you'll be joining over 17,000 other industry professionals on an entertaining educational journey. Also, we manage two closed groups on LinkedIn, CPG Commerce and Retail Media Professionals. Over 1,000 plus professionals have already joined us, so please do consider doing that yourself. Of course, we're on other social media platforms, including Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. You find all our content there easily because our series is called Knowledge Drops, which is intended to be a fun way to learn about our industry. How do you find it? By searching for CPG Guys Knowledge Drop on the search bar. And do remember to check out the FMCG Guys podcast, hosted by our friends Daniel and Efrain, who take the CPG Guys podcast format across the pond and speak to retail and FMCG luminaries from a European perspective. Do that by visiting fmcgguys.com in a browser and check out the latest addition to our family, the CPG Scoop, hosted by Jennifer and Risa. They conduct snackable conversations with industry veterans, a fun way to discover what's new and next in CPG commerce and marketing. Visit cpgscoop.com to learn more. Peter and I are proud to partner with Next Up, also known as the Network of Executive Women in a Past Life, whose mission it is to advance all women in business and to promote the cause of gender equality and career development. Please visit nextupisnow.org/CPGguys to learn more about this great group. We did tell you in Women's Month this past November 2022 that Peter and I, to the CPG Guys, are true partners of Network of Executive Women known as Next Up. We are going to be sponsoring 50 memberships in 2023. So do get in touch with us once 2023 is here. Much more to come about what those sponsorships are and how you can be a member of Next Up and take advantage of the many services they offer. Today's episode focuses on omnichannel merchandising. So many of us with a digital mindset have felt that in grocery, the brick and mortar world never evolved to digital and largely operates as a whole separate world. I experience this every single day in the CPG industry. We also know that this world is the majority of business for most of you listening into the show. The debate in the industry continues. Where should one lean in? We would say it's an and. It's not an or. It's not brick and mortar or e-commerce. It's and e-commerce and omnichannel. And to break the myths, bust those myths, and give us the scoop, here to speak with us about the very evolution of the retail world to being truly omnichannel is none other than the Vice President of Merchandising for Giant Company, part of the Owl family of retail. Please join Peter and me in welcoming to the show, Parag Shah. Hi, Parag.
Thank you, Sri. Thank you, Peter. Thanks for having me on the podcast. It's a pleasure and a delight.
You're welcome, Parag. And before we get to the questions that Peter and I have meticulously prepared for our conversation on omnichannel, would you please give an overview of Giant Company and your role there for the audience?
Yeah, thank you, Sri. So I work for the Giant Company, which is one of the 5 major banners of ADUSA. And the Giant Company operates out of Pennsylvania, Virginia, and West Virginia. And next year marks a huge milestone for us. We will be celebrating 100 years of being in business in our local community, which is a huge deal for us and how we really reach out to our customer base. The goal of the Giant Company is clear. We have a focus on serving our customers through our community and through omnichannel acceleration, which we use different brand names called Giant Direct and Martin's Direct, and we have been growing within that space over the last couple of years. And as part of my role within the Giant organization, I oversee all aspects of center store merchandising. And recently, I also picked up the responsibility of omnichannel growth for the entire store with a clear mandate to accelerate our e-commerce sales penetration.
Congratulations to you, Parag, Shah, of course, and to the Giant company for 100 years of being local. I think it's a big deal, Peter. Well, thank you. We'll, of course, include links of your LinkedIn profile as Parag Shah and the Giant company site in the digital liner notes of this podcast episode. So let's get ready to rumble. You ready?
Let's go.
I'm ready.
So I'll kick it off with the first question that we prepared for you. And it is, you have been trained the classic way, just like Peter and me, which is brick and mortar. But today you are an omnichannel center store merchant leader. In fact, you just referred to in the introduction that is a responsibility of yours. Take us through your career evolution. Where did you start? And experiences that got you into the senior role of omnichannel merchant.
Shri, thank you very much for being so kind. My opinion and my belief is a critical aspect for a merchant leader is fundamentally driven by the knowledge they acquire and how they apply it for enhancing customer engagement. I've always found the keys to success are by building a data-driven mindset, building strong partnerships with your teams, both internally as well as externally, whether they be vendor partners, solution and service providers, as it really takes a village to run the show, and also being agile and adapting to take changes in micro as well as micro environment. I've been fortunate to have significant roles through my journey in supply chain, commercial planning, marketing, category management, merchandising, and strategy. And also along the way, I've been very lucky to pick up quite a few mentors who have guided me and shown me how to bring vision, passion, and reality together by focusing on the basics. But the most important leadership trait, I believe, is humility. In merchandising, you are the center of gravity. And that could cloud your judgment. But when you do not let those factors really play out, you build good relationships that drive partnership for success. And I cannot thank the numerous partners that have helped me grow in my career.
No kidding, you are the center of gravity.
I love that.
Good statement.
Hey, Parag, thanks for joining us today. You know, you and I met earlier this summer.
Yeah.
We were both participating in a course called Omnichannel Leadership that our friends at Cornell put on. We actually, as we're recording this in Las Vegas at Grocery Shop, our good friend Dan is going to be our guest on Wednesday's episode. So it's great to have him featured. Hey, listen, I want to talk to you about this. I don't know if we can call it post-pandemic period we're going through, but it's certainly a transitional period. My question to you is, we're seeing a lot of return to in-store sales. What's going on with the e-commerce part of omnichannel? Is it shifting back? Is it waning, or is it becoming just a very stable part of the mix of shopping that you're seeing from hybrid shopping behavior?
So, Peter, thank you for the question. While overall growth rates have slowed down post-COVID, when we saw a significant acceleration of digital penetration, however, we are still dealing with post-COVID issues, supply chain factors, inflationary pressures that are having an enormous impact on how customer really engages. So while there is a slowdown, if you benchmark versus COVID, the growth rate is still there within the omni space. And looking forward, right, there are several factors that will determine how the growth really happens based on retailer-centric activities around digital, right? In our opinion, there are three factors that are going to be critical. Retailer CDP prioritization with a focus on providing true customer solution. That's going to be a very important part that a retailer needs to find their niche and really apply it based on their unique marketplace. The second part I feel is convenience, right? Families are pressed for time. You know, they work before pandemic, and even now, as the lives have changed, they're looking for more solutions. So how do you make it easier for the busy families by providing meal solutions in a very healthy way too, right? Because that's what the customer base is really looking at. And then third and most important, as these two forces or two ways of doing business come together, you want to eliminate friction. through the entire shopping journey and make digital experiences seamless, whether it is store or whether it is online.
I think it's really important the way you say that, because digital is not just e-commerce. We all walk in to a physical store carrying this really powerful information device called a smartphone. It's not a dumb phone, it's a smartphone. And if you don't provide content to your shoppers, because it's ubiquitous now, they are accustomed to finding it. If you're not willing to do it, I know this company in Seattle that's more than willing to do it and try and take shoppers right out of your store. So you're really smart to think about it that way.
Yeah, and that's become a dictionary in one sort, right? And that is the digital dictionary, I would say, right? It's not only about the basics that the customer is using to find their products within the store, but it's also they're finding solutions through it, offers through it, personalization.
Recipes,
right, exactly.
Bundles, all of that. Yeah, absolutely.
So, Parag, I think we've established that Omnichannel is here to stay, and even the e-commerce part of Omnichannel is here to stay. So let me ask you about the basics of success, right? There's a lot one can do. It can invest a lot of money in this space. You can put robotics, and you can try to do automated fulfillment. But Peter and I believe you got to get the basics right. Content is one such area. Would love to hear from you. What do you feel are those areas that are must-haves for basic success in Omnichannel? And then are you muscling up on those for the Giant company?
No, thank you, Shri. That's a great question. And really, in my opinion, to win in a digital world, you have to be relevant with your target audience. And for that, in my opinion, there are some of the basics that you have to focus on. And from a merchant view, your key is you have to have the right assortment and pricing. That is part one, or the square one of how you really approach in this seamless world. Second, from a technology perspective, when you look at the digital aspect of it, reliability on the platform is critical, right? How you're delivering that experience, how is the customer feeling the engagement? Are they getting frustrated shopping and engaging with you, whether it is your mobile app or whether it is the web page? And how does that experience really evolve in a way that the experience is enhanced for the customer? And third is creating a recipe for success through intuitive customer experiences by integrating personalization throughout the experience and journey, shopping journey, and continuously delivering visually engaging content, which is critical, as that is the moment of truth on a digital way when the customer engages with you, right, and makes that shopping decision. So it is very critical that your content is presented in the most thorough fashion and the most accurate fashion. Diving a little bit into the Giant company's content strategy, our strategy is designed to be very basic and principled to present a mix of savings, functional solutions, food and meal inspirations through our content strategy, and in a way, in a shoppable format, by leveraging customer insights through personalization.
He put out quite a lot, Peter. I hope you got that. This is meaty stuff.
I wrote it all down, Shri. We'll put it in the summary. Parag, I think you said that you have responsibility for some operation functions, particularly around click and collect. Too often people think of e-commerce as a single shopping experience, when in fact it is a number of different approaches depending upon the retailer, depending upon what you do. I remember we were talking with one guest, Shri, last year, and I think she told us they had 5 different components to e-commerce. So can you help break down for our audience specifically around what does click and collect require versus, say, a home delivery? What are you really focused on to deliver excellence in that form of e-commerce?
Yeah, Peter, to me, the key is how you opened up, right? It is all about the customer experience. And how does the customer want to engage with you? Whether it is click and collect or home delivery, or it even could be a third-party platform if you were offering that service. The fundamental difference is how you meet the customer expectation from a fulfillment perspective. Mm-hmm. For click and collect, it's all about being seamless. Quick interaction when the customer is at the store, whether it's curbside or walk into the store, depending on the service the retailer is providing. And how are they greeted? How much time are they taking, right? Like, to get in and out, because convenience is the key. So it is critical that it is quick. There are no surprises when they're picking up their order, meaning, all their order is fulfilled in a fashion as they were expecting it. So that is the critical part of click and collect. To me, how it differs from delivery is all about convenience and courtesy. Very critical to me, the time slots from a delivery perspective that the customer has chosen and done in a courteous fashion, because that is the moment of truth where a human gets to interact with the customer, right? Yeah. And how it is done in that fashion, right? So when we really look at our delivery business and we look at our scoring, the customers consistently tell us, how does the delivery person show up? And, are they greeting them? How are they, dressed up? Is our brand values extended through that experience, right? So it is very critical that the courtesy and the convenience is really delivered through that journey. But for all this, right, whether it is click and collect or delivery, it is the strong back-end integration that is required to meet the customer expectation, yeah. Right? And you have to do it with highest degree of accuracy, service level, and more importantly, freshness of product when you really think about perishable goods in the store.
So you mentioned getting feedback from your customers. Is that a consistent and integral part of your go-to-market strategy? It's not just, I survey them once a year and I hope everything's okay and I come back. It sounds to me like this is an ongoing process.
The success of Giant Company, and as I shared with you that we are celebrating 100 years, is being really fundamentally based on our ability to listen to our customers. Yeah. We do not do that on a targeted schedule. We do it on an ongoing basis. We have a very strict guiding principle beyond the financial metrics and the category management metrics. We looked at customer feedback on a weekly basis. And that really becomes the genesis of designing a strategy, because the voice of the customer is very important in defining how we approach the marketplace.
So that's actually weekly basis.
I know. I mean, sounds like what you're doing is fascinating, but you've used very important words like personalization. Courtesy was a very important one that I took away. So let me remind our audience that we're speaking to Parag Shah, the Vice President of Merchandising for the Giant Company, part of the Ahold family of retail. So to win in the omnichannel world, Parag, one still has to be experts of the basics of the in-store business, because I find it comical that many people who are on the digital side have grown up natively that way and they don't understand that purchasing to the day, and it's not going to rapidly change overnight, is managing a category. Hence, category management was born because of the limited space on the shelf. And then you have shelf management and optimization, which comes in after that, part 2 of category management. And I would love to learn your views here on category management, how it ties back into everything digital as well.
Shri, could not agree with you more on this one, as being a lifelong practitioner in category management and merchandising. So to me, it is critical to get the basics right. And basics start with the customer, as they are the ones who are making the choice on how to
debate that from me.
Yeah, exactly. How they're engaging with you in store, click and collect, home delivery, third-party platforms. The basics do not change whether you're managing a finite shelf in a store or endless aisles online. So what a customer sees on the shelf, on the web page, or the mobile app has to be relevant to them, right? So which means the retailer truly needs a channel strategy, right? So in the world of CPG companies and brands, you have had a channel strategy.
Absolutely.
But now the retailer has to evolve to build a channel strategy so that they can really cater to the uniqueness of that channel, yet keeping the broader customer experience at the center of the thinking, right? So
I want to just point that out a little bit, right? So first time on the CPG guys, we're getting into category management, and you use the actual word. Retailers need to have a channel strategy, and it's important. I just want to call it out. That's all.
No, thank you, Shri. And with that channel strategy, you have to have a sharp focus on planogram functions, shelf management, displays across the store, but also content, navigation, taxonomy, search function, and driving knowledge through customer shopping patterns.
I'm thinking of a term, Shri. It's coming to mind. I think it's called scanner. Where did I hear that before?
I don't know, Peter.
Some really very savvy
If the airport
person.
is nearby, you're thinking of a scanner.
Oh yeah, that must be it. It's that walk through Amazon Go store, right?
There you go. There you go.
So what's exciting to me right now is what we are doing at the Giant Company. We are integrating our e-commerce growth function into merchandising so that we can get the basics.
Whoa. That's a big statement. Just pause there for a second. I want you to repeat that for us.
Did he just cross the streams like in Ghostbusters?
Yes, he did.
I think he did.
He's
Planogram and navigation. Okay.
The man's putting some superpowers out there. I want you to repeat that.
Yeah.
What are you guys doing again?
So we are moving our e-commerce growth function into merchandising.
Love that.
So
what a moment in history, in retail history. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. So all the things that I shared up until now, they are only successful when you build the right organization with a clear mandate of customer success by building abilities to drive channel strategy through proper customer focus, team training, and using database knowledge.
No kidding.
Wow, that's great. So I'm blown away. I'm going to actually add a new episode attribute for tagging. Shri, we're gonna come up with it, and got to come up with the right terminology. But it kind of encompasses scanner, but it's kind of encompasses the more traditional brick and mortar world of displays and planogram. We're going to come up with something good. It'll be big, and we'll trademark it. And we'll make T-shirts.
Bought it all together.
And we'll make T-shirts.
I want my M&Ms too.
I know you do. We'll put it on M&Ms. All right. So, Parag, I'm really interested and intrigued about how you deal with assortment, because I'd like to know first and foremost how digital is influencing your in-store assortment, and how does more traditional traffic and patterns influence it. But what's the store influencing in terms of the digital shelf, particularly is the myth of the endless shelf. Is it really an endless shelf? And what does your data tell you about where people, on what page are people making add to cart decisions? I think that kind of has an implication on how endless that shelf needs to be.
Yeah, Peter, great question. And, through the journey of the supermarket industry or grocery retailers, assortment has always been important.
Yeah.
But let's pause for a moment and see what happened in the last 24, 36 months. Right?
Yeah.
Customers have gotten used to product disruptions. Customer frustration is growing due to continuous supply challenges and now inflationary pressures, right? So managing the logistics part has become such an important piece within the category management function. So with this disruption, that has opened up unique ways and unique approaches to how you're really understanding in-store versus digital assortment, right? Okay. So to me, the digital world will continue to impact store layouts and assortment in the future. So our store format teams work closely with our merchandising and store operations to build strategies to help grow e-commerce capacity without negatively impacting our in-store customer experience.
That's a very important reference you made, without negatively impacting the in-store experience.
Yeah.
It's important to call that out.
Yeah. So in the future, I believe, Shri, there will be hybrid models on how click and collect orders are picked, how stores are leveraged for fulfillment, where rooms and drop ship areas are used to maximize assortment while also improving operational efficiency and speed. But from a fulfillment perspective, it is important that the top online assortment is in good stock in store as the customers pick up store for click and collect orders. This is a very critical piece within the basics that the retailer cannot oversee it.
And does that mean you have to work closely with your manufacturers to make sure on that core assortment that they are aligned to your assortment and availability objectives so that it doesn't have the impact on store activities, that your shoppers are still getting the products when they want them through the click and collect methodology?
Yeah, Peter, that's a great point. And what the Giant company has started doing is with our key vendor partners, we have started kicking off something called a digital joint business planning process.
Love it.
And the idea behind that is to take issues that this digital omni world presents to enhance customer experience and bring them to life, right? So take a look at the top assortment that customer engages for click and collect. How are you going to merchandise it in the store? Where it is easy to find for the store pickup and they don't have to make multiple runs, and you're creating alternative secondary locations without negatively impacting in-store experience. So I believe this journey, which will be enhanced by the availability of data, will just evolve into new ideas and new solutions that you will be seeing at retail so that we can cater to our customer needs. But, our industry has been very used to and familiar with OTIF, right? On time in full, but it's on the business side.
We know all about that.
Yeah. But from a customer perspective, how critical it is going to be in the future, right? When you walk into a store as a customer and if their item is not there, you still have an ability to make a choice and make a decision what you want to do because you are there. You still there to make that decision. But when you have placed your order and you have a certain expectation 2 hours later or when your order is going to get delivered, you do not want surprises at that point of time. So it's critical that the order accuracy is maintained at the highest level.
Okay. To our audience, the thing I want to call out here is I won't say it's widespread, but there is isolated belief that OTIF is just another revenue channel for retailers. And what I'm hearing Parag say is, no, this is about ensuring that that their customers are finding the products when they want them for the core item. And that's why OTIF is such an important concept. It's all about customer experience. It always gets back to the customer.
We want to make sure you don't disappoint when they come to the shelf.
Yep.
No different than being out of stock online. So Parag, you kind of hinted at a lot of stuff that what's next.
Yep.
But I want to get a little serious about it. And one of the areas that intrigues the CPG guys pretty heavily is...
Do you know the CPG guys talk about ourselves in the third person?
Have you met them before?
Have you met these CPG guys? Sorry.
I've seen a lot of swag.
I guess the shirts are given away.
Exactly.
Sorry. Thanks to our lovely friend Chantal, where are those M&Ms?
Oh, they're over on the other table.
We can't show them off.
I know.
By the time we are done with this episode, I might take it.
There you go. So Parag, one of the things that intrigues us pretty heavily is when a click and collect happens in store, when picking happens in store, there's displays and then there's impulse. The world of click and collect, sometimes things are picked from displays. And the world of impulse over COVID has dramatically shifted. Maybe not dramatically, but radically shifted. Get the joke, Peter? Dramatically.
I got it. I just didn't think it was funny.
Okay, I'm trying these days. I'm trying hard.
You're playing at the Tropicana Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's great. He's got a show. You and Donnie Osmond. Are you doing what you work on?
I'll give it a shot.
Donnie and Shree?
Maybe a vegetable, carrot or something.
Maybe Donnie gets to where the CPG guys
are. Are you a little bit country or are you a little bit rock and roll?
Rock and roll.
Okay, got it.
I can sing Cotton Joe if you want me to.
No, keep going.
Seven
keep going.
Yankees.
Move along.
Move along. But so Parag, let's get into that world of the future. What's next for retail? What happens to impulse in this ever-changing world? Because driving impulse online it's not impossible because most people don't realize with AI you can. But is the online world getting that? And then what happens to the in-store display and impulse world?
Yeah, Shri, great question. And retail will always be evolving, right? And part of that evolution brings me here to grocery shop. Me and my team are going to be here for the next several days, and we are going to start seeing from a very sound category management background, what does the future really hold, right?
Love it, man.
So the most innovative retailers...
I want to say that to other retailers. If you're listening, if you're not at grocery shop, you guys are missing something big because people are coming here to learn, and that's the only way you will grow.
Yeah. So, Peter, to your point, right, with the learning, the most innovative retailers will make the shopping experience that is not only experiential, but also meets the need of the customer.
Yeah.
That is what, in my opinion, keeps the store relevant. Futuristically, I believe it will be very exciting to see what the store of the future really looks like. that blends the needs of in-store, click and collect, and delivery shopper. How does the technology bring web experiences in-store and store experiences on the website or the mobile platform? That personally excites me a lot, right? That blend of the evolution is going to be very, very exciting. But the core of it is going to come down to the following variables. Meal solutions. How do you make it easy for busy families?
That's the convenience issue.
Convenience. And to Shree's point earlier, how does data really become your friend, right? Artificial intelligence, machine learning, there's a lot of stuff that really has been talked about, but the true practitioner will get the best out of it from a customer's perspective, right? You just are not going to use those terms in a jazzy way, but in a way that will enhance your ability to give solutions to the customer, right? And then hyper-personalization. Getting them right will position a retailer or a brand, as a matter of fact, for customer loyalty and success.
Words of wisdom from
I think personalization in particular is always a challenge because people think it's a one-to-one, and it's an evolution, right? We went from one to all to one to many, and we're probably in kind of like the all to few space now. But I'll take all. If your aspiration is one-to-one, and you won't settle for anything less, you're really not taking advantage of this journey. You have to move along that ecosystem. You can't run. You have to walk, then jog, then run.
Marathon.
It's very much like that. And I think that you're absolutely right. That personalization is the aspiration, but understand that personalization doesn't always mean one.
And that part drives me crazy, what you both just referred to, right? The entire business of retail and CPG was built as a marathon over 100 years. One store at a time by retailer. Yet we have this uncanny expectations, this digital thing will go from 0 to 100 in 5 years. It's crazy. It's
unrealistic.
Yeah.
Let me close this out with you. Okay.
Just to add, Peter, the three of us are sitting here and talking about this, and we have very different lifestyles and backgrounds, right? And for a general practitioner, it could really come across as, we have very different shopping needs and requirements, but that is not the case, right? We may have a little bit of variations based on what your lifestyle is, but the core is the same, right? So you cannot have an oversight on that core as you start building your personalization, right? So keep your fundamentals in check and start becoming unique to that unique customer's needs.
All right, let me close this out with us, Parag, and this has been a really fascinating conversation.
Sounds like you learned quite a bit, Peter.
I've got a lot of bullet points. We're going to be busy recapping this, Shri. But so what would your advice be to other omni-channel merchant leaders that are trying to get center store right from an omni-channel perspective? What should they be focused on?
Peter, I'm going to approach it from a merchant lens. Right?
That's what we'd love to hear.
And
we don't get many. This is one of the few merchants we've had on to really talk about this. So everybody listen up.
Yeah. So for me, right, number one is be curious, apply a learner's mindset, right? That is the core of how you're going to listen to your customer. And like I referenced earlier in the podcast, continuous listening of the customer, continuous listening of your partners, very critical in your journey, right? Number two is make data the center of your universe in decision making, but also bring the blend of art and science and merchandising together, right? Very critical. While data becomes the center, you are still using the art form to wow your customer in store. And third, and most important, and probably something different, as we start thinking of being future-minded retailers and future-minded customer practitioners, bring the social aspect of customer expectation and merchandising. Community, sustainability, equality are becoming critical areas of our customers, and they are no longer relegated to owners of that function. I believe merchandising activity that blends social appeal will be key element for winners in the future.
No kidding. On that note, let me remind our audience,
that all of our content can be found by going to a browser and simply typing cpgguys.com. If you think your company or you have some thought leadership to contribute to our community discussion, all you got to do is drop us an email at contact@cpgguys.com. Maybe you could actually join Peter and me on the podcast.
It happens.
It happens. Several times, actually. Of course, don't forget to drop us a rating. Why we care is that's the way we get to know if you're giving you the content that you want to hear from us and we have the right topics on the show.
Shri, isn't that in the navigation bar on cpgguys.com?
That's correct. If you go to cpgguys.com, on the top, on the navigation bar, you'll see a menu button that actually says reviews. That easy. To our 16,000 plus followers, Peter and I cannot thank you enough. We know you're a very tight group of audience who's very active in listening to what we have to offer you. The love you've shown us, incredible. We cannot say thank you enough times. Parag, let me put it on the record. You become the first senior leader from center store merchandising, retail, with a solid brick and mortar background like Peter and me to come on the show and discuss this transition yet balance as an and with the brick and mortar world and why all those brick and mortar training that we've had is a difference maker even in the omnichannel world. So thank you for joining us.
Shri, thank you very much for having me. It's been a privilege and honor to be with both of you, Peter and Shri. So thank you very much. And also thank you for the great content that you continuously bring, because that makes my car rides very easy. So thank you for that.
Wow.
That's why this is to us, man, car rides. Otherwise,
Must be
that's what he's saying.
We get people to work.
There we go. We get people to work. It's the CPG guys getting people to work every day. Are we a mobility podcast?
We might be.
All right. Now, Peter, is the moment you've been waiting for and the audience has been waiting for, which is he dropped some knowledge bombs.
Oh, wow.
Go ahead and tell us what those were.
First and foremost, 100 years that they've been in business locally. Wow, that's huge for the giant company. I hear that it is a critical priority to accelerate e-commerce sales penetration among customers. But much like you and I have talked about this many times, and mentors have driven our success. In your case, whether it had been someone like Elena Parlatore at PepsiCo who convinced you against your better judgment to go into e-commerce.
Was it a good decision?
I think it was. Or my mentor, Steve.
Thank you, Elena.
Yeah, Steve Frenda, certainly during my time at IRI, and countless others have been really successful. You have to have humility if you want to succeed. If you're arrogant and you believe the hype that everybody tells you that you're the smartest person in the room, you're never going to learn anything. That is very important. There are incredible post-COVID supply chain and inflationary pressures. And despite that, e-commerce is still growing. Despite that. 3 areas for success: retailer focus on customer solutions, driving convenience at the heart of the decisions you make, making it more convenient for your customers to shop, and eliminating the friction in doing so wherever you can. Less friction, more conversion. That's how I look at it, at least, and it sounds like you do too. You got to have a reliable platform. If your platform is crashing all the time, you're just gonna irritate your customers, and they're not going to trust you, and they're not going to come back to that. At some point, they're just going to walk away from that platform. You got to meet customer expectations, and the way you do that is you constantly ask them. You talk to them not annually, not semi-annually. You do it weekly. You do it ongoing. You meet and you sit down and you talk about it. Not just you survey and then you wait a year and then you gather it all up. You have to be talking about it on a regular basis. Category management. Retailers have to have channel strategies if they're going to succeed. That means you have different strategies depending upon the channel of how you're doing it, but they have to work in harmony. If they don't work in harmony, they're just going to end up obfuscating and actually prohibiting each channel strategy from working in harmony. You need to figure out what your assortment strategy is for click and collect, but do so in a way that doesn't have a negative impact upon the in-store experience for shoppers that are going there. You got to be thinking about doing digital joint business planning, doing that with your suppliers so that everybody is singing from the same hymn. all playing from the same playbook. OTIF is about superior customer experience. It's meant to make sure the customer isn't disappointed if a product isn't there. And you're here at Grocery Shop with your team because you want to learn. You want to see what is the newest, what's the greatest. And some of it may not be relevant. Some of it may be smoke and mirrors, but you're going to find some good nuggets in there, and that's what you're going to take back. Meal solutions, focusing on that is going to be an element of success because that's going to drive the convenience element for your shoppers. Focus on hyper-personalization. Move as close as you can to that one-to-one, but be okay with one to a few because that will still move a tremendous amount of significant growth. And focus on the fundamentals, but as you're doing that, always be curious. That's why you're here at Grocery Shop. Listen to your partners. They're not vendors. If you think of them as vendors and that's one of the things you and I have always talked about. Too often I've seen people think of their expertise is their category. Your expertise is selling a broad assortment of products.
And a basket.
Exactly.
Building a basket.
And that is why it's important to think of them as partners, treat them as such, and leverage their capabilities and understandings relative to their category.
After all, Peter, someone coming into the store to buy laundry detergent is also buying beverages.
Yeah. And ultimately base your decisions on data. As much on science, but remember there's an art to it. I think those are all some critical components. And I think this was just as my dear colleague and co-conspirator here would say, it's a power pack episode, Shri.
A power-packed episode indeed, and I can't thank you enough, Peter. Parag, thank you for joining me on this episode, and I will close it out. See you soon next week. This, of course, came live from Las Vegas.
The content in this podcast episode is provided for general informational purposes only. By listening to our episode, you understand that no information contained in this episode should be construed as advice from CPG Guys LLC or the individual author, hosts, or guests, nor is it intended to be a substitute for research on any subject matter. Reference to any specific product or entity does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by CPG Guys LLC. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. The views expressed by CPG Guys LLC do not represent the views of their employers or the entity they represent. CPG Guys LLC expressly disclaims any and all liability or responsibility for any direct, indirect, incidental, special, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of, reference to, or inability to use this podcast or the information we present in this podcast.